Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. All glories to all the devotees attending class. We had some interesting discussions yesterday, didn't we? I thought so. Let's go a little higher. It seems like in every class we talk about, we always end up talking about how Maya is working on us, trying to cheat us. Isn't it? We had a good discussion yesterday about the illusory power of Maya, painting some strange pictures. I want to read what I wrote yesterday. I have to, as strange as it sounds, I have to take notes on my own classes. That sounds funny, but it's true. So one thing we said yesterday is we were complaining when something bad happens. Krishna, why did you send me my karma? Why couldn't you send me the karma of someone who's not suffering or someone who's more successful, who has a better life, so-called better life? Why didn't you send me the karma of, a wealthy, successful person? So we talked about that, like when something bad happens and we don't want to accept it as our karma. And so then it comes out like, Krishna, you shouldn't have sent me my karma. That's not fair. You shouldn't have sent me my karma. I don't deserve it. It's not fair. Yeah, sometimes we think like that. So we had discussed that. You remember that? We had discussed that. That's really funny. And then we were describing how ignorance is, when you're in ignorance, you do things that are illogical, like this, or you say things that are illogical, like this is pretty illogical. And it's kind of funny to just analyze it, because we said Maya bamboozles us and we say things that don't make sense. So that was one thing that doesn't make sense. And this was in relation to a question, I think, about struggles or suffering. And then, so you reminded me that one time I said, when Maya beats you, it means Krishna loves you. It means because she's helping. So without, we don't want to be in Maya, but without Maya there to give us a little slap, we wouldn't be in Krishna consciousness. So when Maya beats you, it means Krishna loves you. It means, okay, you did something wrong, and here's the lesson. Slap, slap, slap. And now, if you get the lesson by slapping, if you're smart, you'll figure, I must have done something wrong. I shouldn't do that again. So, and then this mantra, it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. You remember that? That's powerful. Things happening for your purification. It's not happening. Why is it happening to me? No, it's happening for you. It's happening to push you forward. And you can apply this materially or spiritually, and it will push you forward materially towards your goals, and it will push you forward spiritually towards Krishna. So some principles apply equally. Many principles apply equally, materially and spiritually. And those are some things I wrote down yesterday. And for those of you who were expecting me to give class last night, as I was expecting, around 6:15 I got a phone call saying, "Where are you?" There was a meeting which I thought was scheduled for Thursday. Tuesday and Thursday, they kind of spelt similarly, start with a T and end with a day, so I got mixed up. Which definitely proves I have maybe too much going on, or maybe I need a secretary or both. So they reminded me of something I didn't know, that we're having a meeting, and so I couldn't give the class last night. So if any of you were expecting and missed that class, I apologize for that. I don't know what happened. The devil's in the details. Okay, so I had an idea. I think I figured it out. The other day we were trying to do kirtan and you were saying, buzzing. It's buzzing. I have an idea. I want to plug the keyboard into my interface. and I have an idea. We can do it without buzzing. But you have to excuse me because I have to get a cable. And the cable is in my studio. So, you give me a few moments. They won't be moments of Brahma, don't worry. There'll be moments on earth. I was just going to get a cable, and then I need you I need your feedback to see if this works. So, I went on a long walk this morning, and I got back late. So, that's why I didn't set it up. Hold on, everyone. Chant Hare Krishna. I'll be right back. Okay, step 1 is finished. We have the cable. Step 2, does the cable work? That's another thing. My cables are like 20 years old. And good cables last and bad cables don't. We're going to find out. One time I was in LA and there was a problem with the microphone. It wasn't that the microphone wasn't working, but it's probably something other than the microphone. So this is a test. I have my computer on and it's trying to open a file. It's sputtering around. And I'm speaking directly into the microphone. And I have this strange feeling you're not going to hear the computer because that's the nature of these microphones. And I'm speaking closer to it than I normally do, like right into it, to get a deeper, more radio sound. But most likely when you speak this closely, you'll get pop filter. And it's not always the most comfortable way to speak, but I just wanted to test it. Happened that should have. Okay. Now you should hear me. Hold on. Okay. Do you hear the piano? This is what we need to know. I don't think you do. I need some feedback. I'm playing the piano now. Do you hear? Yes. Wow. Loud and clear? Okay. We may have a discovery. Now, thank you for that. Krishna Chaitanya. Now we need a balance between my voice. So I have to... Sorry to experiment on you, but I have to listen for a second to see how this sounds. We're going to do I don't know if it's this Sunday, we're going to do a Brahma Samhita concert, and so I have to have the technology. Have to have the technology done. Yeah, so this is good. Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari. I think it's good. Yes? Okay, we're going to do it. So now we solve that problem where you get to hear the keyboard going directly rather than through the mic. It's your lucky day. You're so fortunate. Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari. Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari. Vijana Vallabha Shodhanandana Brajajanaranjan Jana Chishodanandana Brajajanaranjana Chisodanandana Brajajanaranjana Shodhanandana Brajajanaranjan Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari. So we're supposed to go to Vrindavan now in our minds. Radha Madhava Kunjavi Hari Radha Madhava Kunjavi Hari Vijanabalabha Girivaradha Dhari Vijanabalabha Girivaradha Dhari Jashodhan Dana Brajajanaranjana Shodhanandana Brajajanaranjana Jashodhanandana Brajajanaranjana Jashodhanandana Brajajanaranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Radha Madhava Kunjavi Hari Radha Madhava Kunjavi Hari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Go Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. So, we're going to begin reading today. Unless you have some question you're dying to ask that we didn't answer yesterday. I'd like to get... All you see is the microphone. It's better. Less distractions, right? Govinda Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Shamini Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sanyavadi Paschatya Satarine. It seems that you can't hit Seymour with your thumb. It seems you can't even hit it with your left hand without knocking the phone over. Outside Italy and Belgium, to find Guru Maharaj, they are afraid of his COVID thing. When do I think COVID will end? Not soon. It'll end when you have a strong immune system and you do all your association online. I don't know. Everything is under Krishna's control, and there's a lot of good things happening in ISKCON. I just heard the GBC is now meeting online on Zoom every 2 weeks, which I think is going to be extremely productive. And I just had a meeting last night with the Chinese preachers, and they decided, we never meet that much together. Actually, I've never met with all the leaders because it's always in Hong Kong. So now they said, well, we should meet every 2 months on Zoom and we can discuss things. So I think that's really good. We would have never done that if it wasn't for COVID. And then I'm giving, on the average, 10 classes a week. And then people hear the classes afterwards also. So we're reaching more people. So I'm not sure if ending COVID is a good thing. I remember when it started and it was total lockdown, the sky was very, very clear. The atmosphere was very pure. And then they started opening the lockdown slowly, and I was actually depressed. I was thinking, oh no, it's going to go back to normal. Things are going to get polluted and contaminated again, and you're going to hear all the traffic, and you just hear the passion. So I felt it was quite more peaceful when everyone was just staying home. Not so passionate. I don't know. Am I crazy? I don't, obviously I don't want people to suffer, and we've lost some of our devotees, But so many good things have come out of it, and so many devotees have discovered Facebook and Zoom that never used it before, didn't use it much. And every devotee I know who's a senior preacher is saying, I've never been this busy. I'm giving so many classes. I have right now 5 emails as of yesterday of invitations to classes I didn't even open yet. I was like, oh no, another class. I have too many. So what they're saying is they'll have a vaccine by early next year maybe. But it's interesting, some countries have actually dealt with it quite well. It's the problem that the countries that haven't dealt with it well, they create a problem for the countries that have. So let's say, for example, I heard that in Australia, I don't know if it's true, I heard in Australia, they don't have it, but America, we have it. And they're not going to let Americans in, right? Yeah. And also, when, like for myself, I have disciples in different countries, and I feel like sometimes when I show up in the country, it's like, well, I haven't seen anybody for a year. But now by doing this, then anyone can come and join. And like this time that we're doing now, 8 a.m, works for everyone from like Los Angeles, possibly, that's 5 a.m, all the way to China. So we're only missing everything west of Los Angeles, which means Hawaii and Philippines and all that. Not even Philippines, Australia, basically. So anyway. So are we ready to read? Is everyone ready? On your mark, get set. And this is COVID's been good because a lot of people are working from home, so they can take off and well, America and India apparently are the 2 worst countries now. And so, as Americans, if it stays like this, most countries aren't going to want us. They used to want us, now they don't want us. So, okay. So this is called Subadra and the Spiritual World. This is a question devotees were wondering, because Subadra manifests as Maya Devi, or an aspect of material energy. and external energy. Devotee is wondering, well, if she's the external energy, is she in the spiritual world? Of course, she's Krishna's sister, so you would expect she would be. Okay, so yeah, this is early on in 1968 in Montreal. Devotees asking, Subadra is the external energy. Is that true? It's a question. Subadra is the external energy? Is Subadra in the spiritual world? Is Subadra in the spiritual world? Prabhupada. Yes, yes. She's in the spiritual world? Oh my God. The devotee didn't think that. I guess the devotee was startled. No. In one sense, she is also in the spiritual world because she is energy of Krishna. So Krishna's energy is also eternal. So wherever Krishna is there, his energy is there. But her activities are in the material world. Now it gets confusing. Yeah, Krishna's energies are always with him, but she's manifesting. But, obviously she's there in Krishna Lila. You read Bhagavatam, she's there. Just like a king is there and he's got all kinds of officers with him, but some officers engaged in the government house. Other officers, they are engaged outside the government house. The officers who have got engagement outside the government house, they may be sitting with Krishna, may be sitting with the governor or the king, but he has no business within the government house. In the government house, there is a particular secretary, particular man in charge. So Prabhupada's just making maybe a little different point than the devotee was asking, how any expansion of Krishna that's working in the material world is not affected by it. So he's on Krishna's team, and he may have to take that job external to come into the prison department, but he's within the internal. Similarly, in the spiritual world, the energy which is working, that is called Yoga Maya. And in the material world, the energy which is working, that is called Mahamaya. So Subadra is Vishnu Shakti Paraprokta. Actually, Krishna's energy is spiritual. She's part of Krishna's internal energy, but she may have to expand to do service in the material world. Just try to understand that there is Department of Welfare and there is Department of Police. It does not mean that Welfare Department is very favorite to the government and Police Department is not favorite. Do you think it's like that? For the government, both the departments are equal. Just try to understand. So Prabhupada used to, this is interesting, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Prabhupada used to say, just try to understand. Because when he found that people were having difficulty understanding, he would just say, just try to understand. In Tadikshiva Karunika, I think he wrote a song, try to understand, probably based on that. And then sometimes Prabhupada would see that people weren't understanding, and he would say, don't try to misunderstand. And what does that mean? Why would I try to misunderstand? Because you're trying to see it from a very limited perspective, material perspective. Just don't try to see it through your perspective. Just listen to what I'm saying and try to understand. Don't try to misunderstand, meaning don't try to see it through your limited material perspective. Try to understand. Some song like that. So that's interesting. Just try to understand. Don't try to misunderstand. Like, why would you try to misunderstand? But from Prabhupada's perspective, it was like they were making an effort to misunderstand, because they kept making an effort to understand it from their perspective rather than the perspective from which Prabhupada was explaining it. So, okay. It does not mean that the welfare department is very favorite to the government and the police department is not favorite. Do you think it's like that? For the government, both departments are equal. Just try to understand. So the material energy is working in a different way. That does not mean that material energy is not liked by Krishna. It has got the same importance as the spiritual energy, but the material energy is engaged in a thankless task for punishing the conditioned soul, just like the police department. So for Krishna, there's no difference, being material energy and spiritual energy. For Krishna, it is all the same because he has got one energy. For Krishna, it's one energy. So Prabhupada's giving an example. For the government, the prison, the school, it's all run by the government. It's just another department of the government. It's not a bad department, a different function. So for the government, it's all the same. It's just we run the prison, we run the school, we run the administration and so forth, like that. So from Krishna's point of view, it's just one energy. From our point of view, it looks different. The material energy is working in a different way. That does not mean that material energy is not liked by Krishna. It has got the same importance as the spiritual energy, but the material energy is engaged in a thankless task for punishing the conditioned soul, just like the police department. So for Krishna, there is no difference between material and spiritual energy. For Krishna, it is all the same because he has got one energy, just like electricity. Somewhere it is working for cooling purpose, and somewhere it is working for heating purpose. But the generation of electric from the electric powerhouse, the energy is the same, electric. Similarly, Krishna's energy is always spiritual. Catch that? Krishna's energy is always spiritual. It can't be like Krishna's like material energy from the right side, spiritual energy from the left side. No. He is all his energies are spiritual, but in some places they heat and some places they cool. So we'll use that example that his spiritual energy is cooling and his material energy is heating. There is no difference, his energy and he, but it is acting in a different way. Parasya Shaktir Vividhaiva Shruyate. Madhya 1365, purport. Vividhaiva Shruyate, Parasya Shakti. The Supreme Lord, he has got energy. The energy is one. And similarly, he is, in some of the Puranas, it is described that Durga is also Radha Rani. In the Brahma Samhita, you'll find it. Have you read it? Yes. So far energy is concerned, it is always spiritual. But it is acting in a different way, in a different field of activities. Is it clear? Not clear, you say? So you could kind of look at it like, for this job you wear a suit, for this job you wear work clothes. So Radharani expands. She's the personification of the internal energy, but then she expands and she becomes Durga. So Durga is an expansion. Does the dirty work as Mahamaya. So to speak, dirty work. Thankless task. But it's just an expansion of one energy, but it has a different function. So I think that example of heating and cooling is really a fantastic example, because it's one energy and it's doing different things. Okay, I think that's clear, right? And we have, I once said, that's a good one, you will understand. When will I understand? You will understand when you understand. One of the most profound statements ever made in the history of the universe, right? What does it mean? It means that, this is interesting, and I think I mentioned this yesterday. Like, we're trying to understand everything with our head, but our head is limitation, and our head may be also influenced by the modes of nature. So you also have to understand with a pure heart. And so as you advance, you become purified. And then in that purified state, you're able to understand. That's why Mahaprabhu said Sankirtan is the life and soul of all transcendental knowledge. I'm thinking, well, like, I'm chanting Hare Krishna and I get an education that way. Like, I understand everything by chanting. Well, yeah, in some sense, that's what Mahaprabhu means. Not that you don't read Shastra, but you will, even if you don't read certain things in Shastra, you will understand them without having read them. And even if you read them, if you're not purified, you won't understand them. And when you're more purified, then you read them, then you'll understand them. Or at least we can say, to be generous, you'll understand them more deeply. And that's why I said you'll understand when you understand. So sometimes devotees will say, oh, I don't understand. And I'll say, it's normal in a certain level of bhakti, you wouldn't understand certain ideas well or at all. That would be very foreign. And so you'll understand when you understand. And it's also nice when you finally understand, because when you understand, you realize, oh, I must be becoming purified because I couldn't understand this before. Now I'm understanding. I'm hearing, I'm chanting, I'm serving, I'm becoming purified, now I'm understanding. So you will understand when you understand. That's what it means. You have the story of the Brahmin who's reading Bhagavad Gita and he was crying. And he was crying because he was thinking, Krishna is driving Arjuna's chariot. And he was just thinking, Krishna has become the servant of Arjuna. And that was an emotional experience for him, thinking that Krishna serves his devotees, that we're who are we? And he's the supreme, and he serves us. So he was crying. And the interesting thing about the story was he's looking at the Bhagavad Gita and apparently reading it, and he's crying. So it's like, what are you reading that's making you cry? And then it was found out that he actually doesn't know how to read. And his guru told him to read the Gita, and I guess he couldn't get reading lessons, so he said, well, he told me to read, so I'll just look at the book like I'm reading. That's the best I can do, because there's nobody to teach me how to read. And so he was just reading. Obviously, he couldn't read, so he was thinking about Krishna driving Arjuna's chariot, and he welled up. It was such an emotional experience. And then Mahaprabhu said, you've understood. As Prabhupada said, you're the real student of the Gita. In other words, you've understood it. And then you have these scholars, Krishna says, surrender to me. He doesn't mean surrender to me. He means surrender to the unborn within me. The indescribable, everlasting, amorphous, spirit, unknown, untouched, undescribable. I was like, can we get some tape and tape that guy's mouth shut? And here, and he's got, 3 PhDs in, Asian studies and religious studies, and he didn't understand because he's not doing bhakti. And then here you have this devotee, he can't even read, and he understands because he has bhakti. And then you have Gaurkishore Das Babaji, he couldn't read. Does that mean he didn't understand Siddhanta, Tattva? No, it will all, if you can't read, it can all come through the heart as well. Because we are by nature Chit, full of Chit. Chit means consciousness, awareness, knowledge. You are all full of Chit. As a joke, if you didn't get it. Well, maybe you have to be American to get it. But it's true, we're all full of Chit. Should we make a t-shirt? You're full of Chit? Yeah, we should, I think. I think that'll be the #1 selling t-shirt. Because that's, I don't know in your country, but that's an American expression. You're full of, not Chit, but the other stuff. Of course, if you have a material body, you are full of that. That's part of your body, but it means you don't know what you're talking about. That's the expression, you're full of. So this is the opposite. You're full of Chit. You do know what you're talking about. Yeah. I want to say one other thing that relates to this, and I've talked about it before, but sometimes I think when I speak about things, not everybody picks up on it the first time. But one of the things that I'm seeing a lot is frustration and impatience. I don't want to say I'm seeing a lot, I've always seen it in devotees and in myself. The frustration of not being as Krishna conscious as we would like to be. And along with that frustration is not having realization that we would like to have, and not understanding things we would like to have, and not feeling what we realize we should be feeling by reading Shastra. That, well, when you read this Leela, if you're really a devotee, you would be feeling some more attraction to Krishna, or maybe feeling some separation, or some emotion, or some tear, or something. And then maybe the icing on the cake of the pain is that sometimes we're chanting and we don't even want to chant, or we're bored. We're not that we're not feeling anything. I mean, that's bad enough, but we're actually feeling bad. We don't like it. We're neutral. Oh, when I chant, I don't feel anything. Well, that's better than wanting to stop chanting. At least you're chanting. It's better than feeling completely bored and frustrated. And so devotees write me and complaining about that. And one of the things that I think is important, extremely important for us, because it'll give us more patience. And anytime devotees ask questions about Prabhupada, like, why I'm like this, or when am I going to be more advanced, he would always say, have patience. And that's why Rupa Goswami said the same thing. It's not, things aren't going to happen overnight. And if you don't have patience, then you become discouraged. And you think, what's the use? I've done this for like 5 years and still I don't feel that I've overcome a lot of these anarthas. So, on every stage of bhakti, there's symptoms, both in terms of your attraction and in terms of your detachment and in terms of realization that you will get. Although the realizations may not be delineated exactly in the Shastra, but you can understand that as you progress from one stage to another, you're going to understand more. You're going to feel differently. You're going to experience Krishna consciousness differently. There's going to be a release of attachments. Sometimes devotees say, I'm so attached to blank. And when you advance, your attachment to blank is less, it decreases. And at some point, it won't even be there. So sometimes we'll say, I wish I wasn't so attached, or I wish I was more attached to Krishna, or more attached to reading, or whatever it is. I wish I was feeling something that I'm not feeling, whatever it is. And I just want to let you know that when you reach different stages of bhakti, going from ado shraddha all the way up to prema, on each stage there are symptoms. And so sometimes what you're actually doing when you say, I'm discouraged because I'm not experiencing this, you're actually experiencing what is perfect. I don't want to say perfect, but it's perfect in the sense that for the stage you're on, that's what you experience. In some stages, you experience struggle, and that's normal at that stage. Bhajana Kriya is a stage of struggle. Anartha Nivritti is also a stage of struggle. It's just less. It's like the anarthas are going away, but you're struggling with them to get rid of them. And then in Nishta, the anarthas they're mostly gone, and what's left is not really affecting you much. And at Ruchi, you're pretty detached now because you have a very strong taste. And at Sakti, you really start feeling what your rasa is with Krishna. It becomes a very strong feeling, and at Bhava, you realize it. So if you say, Prabhu, how do I know what my rasa is with Krishna? I say, well, when you get to a Sakti, or even Ruchi, but the Sakti, you'll pretty much be clear that what is your rasa, and when you're in bhava, you will experience it. So it's like sometimes we're hankering for an experience that only comes in a higher stage of bhakti, and then we get discouraged. So if you understand that your experience is equated with the level you're on. So if you're on Bhajana Kriya, you want to get to Anartha Nivritti. You're on Anartha Nivritti, you want to get a Nishta. And it's not like there's a book that exactly tells you when you're in Bhajana Kriya, here are the 5 my 10 secrets, how to go from a narthanivritti to nishta. Secret number 1, it's a little bit like that, but really, it's not, there's no secret. It's just that whatever you're doing, just do it more sincerely, do it with more devotion, do it better, do it more often if you can, and that will push you to the next level. And then when you get in the next level, then those symptoms that you were not experiencing, that you want to experience, they're in the next level. It's like, you go in the store and or let's not say you, I go in the store because I'm a man and I need to buy some clothes. And where's the men's department? I go, oh, it's upstairs. Because I'm looking around everywhere I look, and I think, these aren't men's clothes, are they? Sometimes you look at men's look at women's clothes, and they go, are these men's or women's? Usually you can tell it's not. And well, where are the men's? Upstairs. So where is the detachment? Oh, that's upstairs. You have to go upstairs. Down here, not very much detachment down here. Where's the taste for holy name? Oh, that's on the 4th floor, ruchi. You get that. Once you get to that floor, you're going to be loving chanting. We'll have to tie you up and put tape on your lips to get you to stop. You'll just keep going, You won't do anything else. We have to stop, eat something. Stop, go to sleep. You need rest. Stop, go to work. No, Prabhu, Hare Krishna, I can't stop. And so you want that now, and you're thinking, why don't I have it now? Well, when you're on the stage of bhajana kriya or anartha-nivritti, even nishta, you can't have that level of taste because it doesn't come on that stage. So Prabhupada's idea was, he would say, when people would, be very impatient, like when, he says that just do it. It'll come. When you get on the next floor, there's the men's shop. And then the next floor is furniture, and the next floor is sporting goods. And, if you're on the 2nd floor, there's no sporting goods. You're not going to find them there. I want the sporting goods. Okay, go to the 4th floor. So it's something like that. Maybe not exactly like that, because within each stage, there are little seeds of the higher stage. So, on the men's section, there's a few footballs lying around, and, but they're all up on the sports floor, everything and more. So it's a little bit like that. So I thought that was important in terms of patience, because all you have to do to graduate is just do what you're doing better. If you don't do it better, then you stay down. And then your reward is you get to go to the next floor. And when you get to the next floor, it's always nicer. Each floor makes your Krishna consciousness nicer. So when you get to nishta, it's like, I don't have to battle with all these passionate and tamasic desires. I'm a nishta. Nishta is sattva. You're in sattva gunas. Wow. So much nicer up here. I'm not battling with all these desires, and even though I feel them, they're so weak, it doesn't bother me anymore. And what to speak of ruchi? Wow, everything is just sweet. And you just want to serve and talk and chant, and it's all relishable like that. Does that make sense to everyone? So that's the meaning of when you will understand when you understand. So you can see that was a fairly profound statement. So now Vijay Lakshmi is asking about the energy. This means since the source of energy is one, external and internal energy and marginal energy, and actually spiritual, but they are differentiated as per the job description. Yeah. From Krishna's point of view, it's one and differentiated according to the job description. That's good. And so, and Purasha Shakti Vividai Vishruyate means the different energies are actually persons that take on different jobs. And so here's the idea. And Prabhupada gave this example. He said, if you're really wealthy, you don't have to work. You can hire people to work for you. I mean, you can oversee it. You could hire people to do everything. If you have a competent CEO and a competent employees, they can run your business. And if they're honest, you don't even have to worry about it. So he said, Krishna's like that. What he needs done, the energies that do it are personified. So energies of action, energies of knowledge, energies of strength, they're all personified, and he gets everything done. You might think, well, Krishna's engaged in Leela, and you're thinking, okay, he's doing his Leela, but the sun's rising and setting on time in innumerable universes, and so many things are going on. How does he manage? He manages through energies which are personified as persons. And Prabhupada gave that example to show it's the same here in this world. That's what wealthy people do. They don't have to work. So if he's God, why would he have to work? So the idea of God, working hard to create, maintain, and destroy the universe or do anything is completely foolish, because if you're God, you control everything. If you control everything, if I said you could have everything you wanted, you could control everything, would you work? Would you go to a 9-to-5 job? Of course you wouldn't. Why would you? You wouldn't have to. If you control everything, then you could get all the money you want. You could have anything you want. You don't need to work. So that's Krishna. That's it. That's the position. People say, what is God? That's one way to define God. What is God? He doesn't have to work. He has everything. Everybody works for him. And whatever he wants done, he can empower someone with a Shakti to do it, so he doesn't have to do it. Here's $100, go buy this. Here's $1,000, go hire somebody to do this. So Krishna says, here's my Shakti, go do this. But then he goes out and herds the cows. And that happens without any effort. Just like in the Gita, Krishna says, this is such an interesting verse. It's just to meditate on this. This is one of those, how will you ever understand this? Arjuna is asking Krishna, please tell me about your opulences. And Krishna tells Arjuna. And then at the end, Krishna says, this is a waste of time. Because I have so much opulence and so much power that with a particle of that power, just to take a drop of that power, I could maintain all the universes. So, why are we talking about my power? Because it's unlimited, and you're never going to understand it. It's just understand that I do it. So that was the end of the 10th. Was it the 10th chapter? What need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With this single fragment of myself, I maintain and support the universe. Or create and support the universe. It's like Krishna gets a phone call. It's time to create the universe. Okay, finished. What's next? What else is on my to-do list? It's like that. That's what Krishna's saying. Why are we talking about this? This is I could go on telling you a million things I do, but it's just like a particle of my glory, and it's not even that interesting anyway. It's just get it done. Okay, Brahma, Mahavishnu. Okay, get it done. Don't worry about it. I got a date with Radharani. That's what's important to him. So, but at the same time, it's also what makes Krishna attractive, is that he's so unlimitedly powerful. So that's how are you going to understand that one? With a fragment, I maintain and support the universe. Okay, meditate on that. As conditioned souls in conditioned bodies, how hard you work just to put food on the table, keep your clothes clean, keep your body clean, keep your house clean. I mean, that's devotees say, I don't have any time. Really, what are we doing? It's a job, and we're trying to, get home and cook something and clean up the mess and basically get our rounds done. And it's wow, I could barely do that. That's us. That's the difference between us and Krishna. And for Krishna to create a universe is no big deal. And for us, just to maintain ourselves, and work and that, it's huge. And the Shastra says in Kali Yuga, if you can maintain a family, that's major. I've been married for 21 years to the same women. I have 2 kids. Let me give you a handshake. That's amazing. How did you do that? Where in former times, that would be if you didn't do that, you would be considered the number one loser. And now if you do that, it's wow, you're amazing. Same woman. You never left her, and you provided all these years. You worked. But the point is, it's a lot of work. So So, punaha, puna, again and again. Somebody keeps sending me voice messages. Is there something wrong? Did I do anything wrong? Electricity, heating, cooling example. Hit the spot. Give me such a clear understanding about Krishna's energy. Thank you. Yeah. So Prabhupada always said from his angle, Krishna's angle is just one energy. Edwin is here. Edwin Jenkins the second is with us. Welcome, Edwin. American tourists are still not allowed to enter Europe. Yogi John from Maine is here. And Chithead. Oh, yeah. That's another one. I don't know. That's getting... I don't know, Edwin, if that's getting there. You Chithead? Yeah. Okay. Maybe we won't make a t-shirt, but you're full of chit. Someone made a t-shirt called Chit Happens because there was a movie called Forrest Gump, and in the movie it was a scene and he was being interviewed because he was doing something amazing, and he said, Chit happens, or something close to that, and that became a big saying. But shit doesn't happen, it's a consciousness, it's a possession. 10:10. Okay. No, it's the end. It's the last. It's after Krishna describes his glories in chapter 10. He's like, Arjuna, we're wasting our time here. You know, like, why are we trying to describe my glories? It's impossible. You just try to imagine. It takes like this much energy for me to create and maintain a universe. Like as much energy as it takes to flick a, scratch an itch on your face. It's about how much it takes me to create a universe. So like, why are we talking about this? It's not going to make real sense to you. It's kind of funny, right? So Satya Rupa says, you mentioned yesterday about Jai and Vijay's expansions. Brihad Bhagavatamrita also mentions something about expansions of associates. Does Raganuga Bhakti mean that we connect with the associate of, you connect with the mood of the associate? Does Raganuga Bhakti mean we connect with the associate of Krishna from whom we expanded? No, you didn't expand from any associate. You are who you are. And if they expand to come here or to expand in Leela, that's the liberated soul. We didn't expand from any associate. Raganuga Bhakti means to follow the associate's mood and try to experience that, develop that. I'm not a fan of the Chit word play, to be honest with you. To some it will be offensive. Yeah. We have to think about that. Oh, Chit. I'm going to have to think about that. But we have to say Sat Chit Ananda. You are full of Sat Chit. You are full of Sat and Ananda and Chit. Okay. We're going to take that in consideration. But that, remember, Kamaniya, we said that's the difference between Americans and the British. The British are more culture. The Americans are kind of, you know what they're like. You lived in America. The difference between Krishna's energy, work, and ours, yeah, equals humility. Yeah. Well, it also confirms that I'm, someone says I'm God. You say, do you have a job? Yeah. Well, that confirms you're not God, because God doesn't have a job. So that solves that problem. We're all God. Wait a minute. Let me ask you a question. Do you work? Yeah, of course I work. Okay, I just want to let you know God doesn't work, and that means you are not God. Okay, you got that? You're not God. God doesn't work. You work. Yeah. You spend time like cleaning your house and cooking and cleaning pots and shopping. Of course I do. God doesn't. Sorry to inform you, you're not God. I know that's bad news for you, but yes. No, it's Chit. Sat Chit Ananda. Chid is when you put the word Chit and Ananda together, it becomes Chidananda. Chidananda. But Chit is the actual root. Sat Chit Ananda. But sometimes, a godbrother of mine, his name was Chidananda. Chidananda. So that in Sanskrit, I'm not sure why, but the Chit becomes Chid when it's accompanied with Ananda. That's our Sanskrit lesson for today. But your Sanskrit teacher can't explain why. Probably because I'm not a Sanskrit teacher, yeah. The actual word is Chit. It becomes Chid when it's connected to another word. It's a Sanskrit grammar rule, like a Sunday. Okay. Confirmed. All right, so we can read more. Okay, this next one is really interesting. I think I read part of this to you before. This is from Bhaktisiddhanta. It's called Satanic Frenzy. And this is from a essay, I believe it's an essay called Vaishnavism, Real and Apparent by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. It's either an essay, could have been a speech he gave that was transcribed. Anyway, it's interesting. Are you ready? Are we ready? Okay. When you read anything by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, you have to be ready because it's deep. And the language also is not always that easy to understand. We learned Sanskrit at Dr. Mishra's ashram. I met Kamaniya the first time, Dr. Mishra's ashram. She was running, you were running the whole thing, right? So that must have been like 15 years ago, right? Yes? Okay, let's read this. Everyone pay attention. The inconceivably narrowest line of demarcation between land and water, or the line where land and water meet, is called Tutta. So the example sometimes Prabhupada gives is you have the water coming up on the beach, and right at that point where they meet, water and land, there's a line, and that's called Tutta. It means marginal. You know, that's that point where it's not land, it's not water, it's right in the middle. It's called Tutta. So as I said yesterday, we're not reading systematically, so now I'm reading something that's completely different from what we read before and what we were talking about, if you're wondering, like, what's going on here? This is about the nature of the Jiva and how he's entangled in Maya. We read one statement. We did read one paragraph. There's three. And a few days ago, I read one paragraph of this because it was so amazing. But we didn't read the whole thing. And so now we're reading it. The inconceivable narrowest line of demarcation between land and water, or the line where land and water meet, is called Tutta. Tutta. Also, there's a company in India called Tata. So also the meeting line of the Chit world, or the eternal abode of the Lord, and the Utchit world, or the Tutta region of Maya, is called Tutta. So you have the spiritual world, you have the material world, and that line between material and spiritual is called Tutta. That region is called Tutta. Some people say there's not a Tatasta. We are the living entities are called Tatasta, and some people say it's an energy, it's not a place. But here in this example, he's saying there's also this place where the material world and spiritual worlds meet. That is also a place, not necessarily referring exactly to the living entity. Anyway, let's read on. The power of the Supreme Lord displayed at the Tutta, known as the Tatashta, lying at the Tutta, or marginal power. So Tutta means the marginal point. Ashta means situated. So one who is situated in between the material and spiritual is called Tatashta. And there are two kinds of living entities, as you may have imagined or guessed or thought about. As you know, Krishna has principal gopis, Krishna's mother and father. He has his friends. And so, there's no point that like Mother Yasoda is going to not be Mother Yasoda. Something's going to happen and she's going to fall in Maya. Those eternal associates are a different energy. They're created by Krishna's internal potency. But Tatastha is we are spiritual. Tatastha means we are soul, we are spiritual, with you could say, a weakness, proclivity to choose Maya, which those eternal associates created by the internal potency of Krishna are of a different energy. They're not Tatastha Jivas. Their internal potency, little different, right? These eternal associates are like, how come I didn't get to be an eternal associate? Have you ever thought like that? You're looking at your situation here in the material world, you're looking at the situation up there, and you're thinking, wait a minute, like how come I'm down here with the choice, and how come she gets to be Mother Yashoda and I don't? That's not fair, Well, sorry if you think it's not fair. She's of the internal potency. We're of the marginal potency. We're called Tatastha, situated at the marginal, at the Tutta. Another Sanskrit lesson for you all today, Ashta. Asta, situated. And Tata, that point between the material and spiritual. Okay, let's read on. All the jivas, being the display of this power, have the inherent oscillating tendency and capability of going to the Chit or Utchit world. In other words, you can choose Krishna or choose Maya. That's the meaning of Tatastha. You can go either way. You're not situated in Maya, and you're not the internal potency. You're of the potency where you can look away or look towards. Tata, not being a resting place. Jivas must go this side or that. So this marginal point, it's not a place. Well, why you're going to say, well, why can't I just stay in between the material and spiritual? So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is saying, no, that's not where you stay. That's you either are going to go to the material or spiritual. That's the meaning of Tatastha. Interesting, right? Tata not being a resting place, jivas must go this side or that. During the Utchit fell into the clutches of the octopus Maya. The octopus Maya fell in. You have fallen into the clutches of the octopus Maya. Now it's like, oh my God, if Maya's an octopus, if that's the example, now you know why it's hard to get out. Could imagine. Octopus has 8 arms, you only have 2. It's going to be a hard fight. Those preferring the Utchit fell into the clutches of the octopus Maya, when these mortal costumes of mind and body were put on him as a punishment. Okay, now this is an interesting thought. Sometimes we become proud of our mortal costume. I think I'm kind of attractive, or I'm kind of smart, or I'm good at something. And we become a little proud, or more than a little proud, especially if you're really good at something, and you're really intelligent, or you're really beautiful. It becomes obvious to you that you're a little more intelligent, or very much more intelligent than the average person. You're more beautiful than the average person, more this or more that. And so it can be natural to think, I'm very attractive, I'm very this or that. So what does he say? You're thinking this body is special, wonderful, and so forth. And the reality is, no, the body is a punishment. It's interesting to think. We were given the body as a punishment. And I have a godbrother and said, When you go to prison, they give you a prison suit. When you come to the material world, your body is your prison suit. That's an interesting analogy. Apropos analogy to what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta is saying. So I want to read that again because we need to remember this. Tutta not being a resting place, jivas must go this side or that. Those preferring the Utchit fell into the clutches of the octopus Maya when these mortal costumes of mind and body were put on him as a punishment. Prabhuji, you have quite a beautiful looking punishment. Your punishment is not bad. It's not a bad punishment. Some are punished worse than others. So let's read the last one, and I'll go back to your comments. The last one we had read before, and when I read it, I just thought, I have to share this now. Sometimes I read things, and I think, I've got to share this in class today. I can't put it at the end of the quotes here, because as I get new quotes, I usually put them at the end of the file. Then we get to them often a week or two after I read them. And I thought, no, this quote is too good to not let you know right away. So the last paragraph I read to you a few days ago, but it wasn't in context with what we just read today, and you may not have remembered it exactly. So, here we go. The satanic frenzy in which the jiva dislikes the blissful and eternal service of his master and prefers to quench his thirsty desires of enjoying matter opens before him a perpetual spring of liquid fire and poison, at which he begins to drink deep. Then, in going to the Lord, then I had to read this again. I didn't read it right. I think we need some music for this, like some horror music. What do you think? Should we try it? You're all saying, yes, put on the horror music. No. Kamaniya, I only do what you say. Should we put on some dark, sad music for this? What do you say? Tell me. Is it? I don't think you're going to say yes, but this is a dark, sad. Isn't it? Should we do something dark and sad? No. Oh, that's too. You're going to have nightmares if I do that. Okay, we won't do that. We'll save that for another day. Okay? Unless Kamaniya says, yes, do it. She's so cultured. I have to take advice from her. Because I'm from Southern California, and the only culture there is skateboarding and surfing and rock and roll. Maybe I can read it. Try to read it in a way that we really get it. The satanic frenzy. Yes. Okay. Okay. So give me one momentito. Well, that's what momentito means, a moment. Okay. And I have to choose something dark and sad without having heard it before. So suspenseful, sad. We want sad. Sad's kind of syrupy. Suspenseful. Okay. Sad. This is going to be sad. I think I used this for the... Can you hear it? The satanic frenzy in which the jiva dislikes the blissful and eternal service of his master and prefers to quench his thirsty desires of enjoying matter opens before him a perpetual spring of liquid fire and poison, at which he begins to drink deep. Thus, in going to lord it over Maya, the jiva becomes enslaved by her. So, so this, I wanted to read this because Srila Bhaktisiddhanta he's putting, in 3 paragraphs, he just explained it all. We're marginal, we can go either way. You can choose Krishna, you can choose Maya. And if you choose Maya, then you have this desire to quench yourself, but you end up quenching yourself with liquid fire and poison. You want me to record this? I can record the whole thing. Yeah. All right. I'll record this for you, and we'll put it on. We'll put it in out on the WhatsApp. If you're not on the WhatsApp group, join that. We'll put it out there, and we'll put it on my Facebook. And so, I want to enjoy matter. The result is liquid fire and poison, and then I'm trying to become the controller, enjoyer, and so forth. And what happens? I become a slave. So. Basically, he's saying in our effort to become free, we become slaves. In our effort to enjoy the nectar of life, we drink the poison of life. And what people have done to what I think is going on, maybe John, you could also, from your perspective, psychological and spiritual past experience, what I think is going on psychologically is, in order to deal with the reality of life, we adapt psychologically to not notice what's really happening. Because if we notice what's really happening and we don't have spiritual knowledge, we'd probably all be in the insane asylum right now. So there's a psychological mechanism that's telling us everything is good and great and fantastic. And just last night, yesterday, Havi and I were talking, and we wanted to Brahma Samhita, orchestral Brahma Samhita. And so we have a disciple, Gauramani, and she's saying, can you do orchestral? I think orchestras are expensive. Then I thought, with the technology today, you don't need an orchestra because orchestras have been recorded and you can play them back on your keyboard. So we're looking at all these libraries, and you hear them being played. You have no idea it's not an orchestra. And this is like unimaginable. Like even like 20 years ago, the libraries, you could tell, no, it's not a real orchestra. Now you can't even tell. And we were just looking at that, and they have samples of grand pianos. You have no idea it's not, I'm just playing it on this keyboard through software. You have no idea it's not a grand piano. And Havi was joking, he said, I think we'll have to take many more births now if we get this software just to, stay here and enjoy it. And we were thinking, oh yeah, we'll make this amazing orchestral Brahma Samhita. It's like something else to look forward to, something else to distract. Of course, as devotees, not so much. But if we were joking, but if we weren't devotees, it's just something like, this is amazing. Let's get absorbed in this. And then you forget the liquid fire and poisoning and being enslaved and slapped. And it's so, happiness, as Prabhupada said, it's a huge effort to forget what's actually happening, what's actually going on. And like COVID-19, it was like, that was hard to forget because it's everywhere. It wasn't just one country. And everyone's affected by it. So it's like, yeah, hello, in case you didn't notice, there is disease in this world and people do die. And we just wanted to remind all of you who thought that life was going to go on joyfully forever, who are living in an intoxicated delusion, that it's not like that. So that's... yeah, well, we're going to come out with, I recorded Brahma Samhita in 1989. It's time for the 2020 version, right? Chintamani. Yeah, it'll be sent, yes. Okay, let's hear from John, and then we'll go back because he has experience. He's a counselor, actually a professor, teaches counseling, and a former Jesuit. So he's got this, and now he's doing workshops teaching counselors and using Bhagavad Gita. So this is like amazing. I'm excited about what you're doing. Yes, in light of that, I've been lately reflecting on depression as forgetting Krishna is everywhere and in everything. And if we could give depression a voice, what would it say? Not enough. I like that. If we could give depression a voice, what would it say? Give me more. I don't have enough. Yeah. Hare Krishna. And the ultimate paradox, I think the ultimate paradox, Krishna's everywhere and we don't see him. Part of the remedy, gratitude, yeah. And also, you know, okay, I have this body, and Prabhupada said, bad bargain, make use of a bad bargain. Okay, I got this body, it's a prison suit, whatever, but I can use it to serve Krishna, so do that. That's also there. Correct? Oh, yeah, okay. So Kamini is giving us an idea. John and I should do an interview on Facebook or Zoom, and we can talk about how messed up the world is, right? No, what are we going to talk about? How messed up people's minds are? What are we going to talk about? Kamini, you tell us what we're going to talk about. The challenges that people are going through today. Yeah. Yeah, on Subway. Okay, we'll think about that. I'm going to go back. Let's see if there's any comments. Yeah, that was a good track. Okay. Okay, I think if I missed anyone, just put your comment or question below. Okay. Okay. You went to my website and you couldn't find the WhatsApp number? You might have to scroll down. Psychology of Bhakti. Wow. Psychology of Bhakti is that. The psychology of Bhakti. You know what the psychology is? Love of Krishna is in your heart. And when you forget it, lust overtakes you. Okay, I am going to look at my own site, which needs work, and some things are hard to find, I admit. So, and things aren't always where I want them to be, but I'm going to go down. Yeah. We used to have all that stuff on top. Newsletters, join our WhatsApp group. So, just go down. Okay, I'm going to tell you exactly how far down you are. I'm on the website. I'm just going normally, as most people will go, and we're going to count, and that's going to help you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, go on my website and have patience. Have 8 seconds patience. I guess most people want to see everything in 3 seconds, but you can see it in 8 seconds if you go down. Join our WhatsApp group. It's on the bottom. It used to be all on the top. Maybe we have to put it on the top. That's another discussion. Sadhana report, all my music workshops, important quotes from classes. Wow, that's why SoundCloud. Keep going down. There's more coming out. Yeah. The Rasa Leela track is there. Crying Like a Child, the Japa meditation is there. Coping with loss. Okay, not bad. It's getting better. Anyway, it's there. If you want to join the WhatsApp group, go on my website, mahatmadas.com. Start scrolling down with your 2 hands. I did it very slowly. And within 8 seconds, you will see join our WhatsApp group. And I think just a phone number will come up, and a WhatsApp number will come up, and you send her a message, and she'll put you in. And you'll get the latest. Okay, so we're going to continue reading. Okay, now this is an interesting question. This is okay. Just I want to make a disclaimer or forewarning, which may make this topic more interesting. This is controversial, and you may not know why. The next thing is controversial. Is our rasa fixed or is it not fixed? I've heard different things coming from different groups, different sampradayas, and say, no, Prabhupada's saying your rasa is fixed. Oh, rasa is fixed. What is Mahaprabhu doing? What's special? He's giving love in the mood of the residents of Braja. You think, well, if I'm already in the rasa of Sakya or Vatsal or Madhurya, then I'm going to Braja anyway. It gets confusing. You wouldn't realize it's controversial by me reading this, but in some places they preach that the relationship is not within you, it's coming. I'm going to make you a gopi. I'm going to give this to you. It's coming through mercy. So, anyway, Prabhupada explains it here quite clearly. Although Prabhupada did say you could change your rasa, but I think when he said that was more of a philosophical sense that everything is dynamic than an actual reality, an actual tattva. Anyway, this is from a lecture in 1971 in Gorakhpur. That's in India, for those of you who are not Indian. Hansadutta asks, suppose someone is situated in Vishnu Dutta. He may change his taste. I think he means like you're in Vaikuntha. Suppose you're like a Vishnu Bhakta. You can change his taste. Prabhupada, why he shall change it? So it's kind of like the answer is a challenge. Like, and you're already in a relation with Krishna. Like, you got a problem with that? Something wrong with that relationship? It's like not working for you. Kind of looking at it in a very material way. Like, this is my girlfriend, but I'm kind of looking at that other girl, or I'm kind of frustrated with the opposite sex. Maybe I should try the same sex. Something like that's the connotation in Prabhupada saying, like, why would you think anything would be wrong with that relationship? Like something's missing with it. Hansadutta, he may get a taste for associating with Krishna. So he's saying, well, if you're in Vaikuntha, then you may want to go to be in Krishna Loka. Yeah, true. Could be, but listen how Prabhupada answers it. This change is taking place in this material. There, all tastes are fixed up. And the there meaning in the spiritual world. All tastes are fixed up. Rasa, eternal rasa. Every one of us has a different taste of associating with Krishna. And that will be realized when one is liberated. So 2 questions are asked. Is our rasa fixed? Prabhupada is saying it's fixed. You may hear other things. Anyway, you're hearing it now from Prabhupada. Is it fixed? Yes, Prabhupada is saying it's fixed. How will I realize it? You will realize it when you're liberated. You will realize it when you realize. How will I realize it? You will realize it when you realize it. Not a day before and not a day after. Mm-hmm. Mind, intelligence, and ego. Ego is like, what a topic. Okay, John, it looks like Krishna's calling us to have a talk. But if we're going to have a talk, definitely it's got to be a talk about things that you are, I don't want to put you on the spot. We're going to talk about the creation according to Bhagavatam. No, we're going to talk about things that you have studied, and how it relates to Krishna consciousness. If they want to hear from you. Okay. The changes taking place in the material world. There, all tastes are fixed up. Rasa, eternal rasa. Everyone has a different taste of associating with Krishna. That will be realized when one is liberated. Hansadutta, so that's fixed already? Yes. When you are liberated, you will understand in which way you are related with Krishna. That is called Swarup Siddhi. But that is attained when you are actually perfect in devotional service. Just like in our family, we enjoy different rasas. We've got one kind of relationship with wife, one kind of relationship with sons and daughters, one kind of relationship with friends, and one kind of relationship with servants, one kind of relationship with property. So similarly, Krishna, the whole creation is his family, and he has got relationship in that way. So why the son will change his relationship into husband and wife? So, he's the son. He doesn't want to become the father. Hansadutta, I see. Yes. There's two parts to this. I just want to finish this, and then we'll end. And then the second part we'll read, not tomorrow, but the next day. And I'm not exactly sure what we're talking about tomorrow. We had talked about separation last Thursday. So I can't tell you what we're going to talk about tomorrow. Because it's not, we were talking about balance, but I think we covered it quite well. I have to talk to Nadia and see. So Prabhupada says, yes, because every relationship is very palatable. The gentleman, the head of the family, his relationship with wife and his relationship with servant is as much palatable. Maybe some degradation, but it is palatable. Degradation means, he doesn't mean degradation. He means the servant's on a lower level, but it's still, if you have a good relationship, the servant in the house is being well taken care of, he's happy to serve. So it's a nice relationship, and you don't want a relationship with a servant like you want with your wife, unless you're Thomas Jefferson, who had 7 children with his slave. Hare Krishna. That's another thing. That's another story. And that's another story for another day. So Prabhupada's saying, okay, you're the head of the house, this is your wife, you have one relationship, this is your servant, you have another relationship. Each relationship is nice, it's got its own nature. This is your friend, not your wife, not your mother, that's not going to work. There's no question of changing, not that I am tasting this rasa at the present moment, then I will get better rasa. No, that is not. Everyone thinks my rasa is the best. Although there is comparative gradation, so that's what Prabhupada, when he said degradation, he meant gradation. The gradation is different. Servant, then higher is friend, higher is parent, higher is conjugal. But Prabhupada's saying it's not like the material world. How come I didn't get to be a gopi? It's not fair. I'm just a servant. I don't know if I want to stay here. I mean, that's how we think, right? What if I buy this product and there's a better product, and can I take it back, What if I get this rasa? Does it have a 30-day guarantee? We're like crazy, the way we think about the spiritual world, isn't it? Raise your hand if you're crazy. Yes, we are. So that's Prabhupada's point. It's not, don't look at it materially. Like, what if I'm a tree? Oh my God, ended up in Vaikuntha as a tree. That is so depressing. It's not like that. Hansadutta, in Nectar Devotion, Prabhupada, yes, everyone thinks my relationship with Krishna is the best for me. Just like everyone thinks my mother is the greatest, my father's the greatest. Objectively, not true. They're not the greatest. They're better mothers and fathers. But for you, from your perspective, they're the greatest. So my relationship is the greatest. It's perfect. I wouldn't want another one. Hansadutta, so it's not a matter of aspiring to some. Prabhupada, no, there's no question of aspiring because he's already situated in the best of relationship with Krishna. Even the trees in Vrindavan, they want to serve Krishna silently in that way, supplying fruits and flowers. That is their ananda. Everyone enjoying the supreme bliss. When Krishna comes, takes a flower or fruit, that is their enjoyment. Ah, and Prabhupada said, ah. Ah means like I'm happy. Ah. So, that is an important point if you've ever been confused about it. Okay, so yeah, Jyotirmai shed some light on my WhatsApp with my Facebook with my team, my website. We used to have all that stuff that's on the bottom, on the top. Sign up here, sign up here. Yeah, the problem is there's not so much space. Okay, thank you. Prabhu, you have an incredible website. You give so much content. It's amazing. I did recently give a little feedback to Guru Nishta. Yeah, you can all give feedback to her about reorganizing. That would be helpful. We're always reorganizing because there's so much content. Yeah, that's really helpful because you're the end users, so you know. I mean, we're trying to figure it out, and I'm no website guru. But things get changed when we put up more information they're trying to figure out, and then. Okay, John, we have to come in here. You all have to help us figure out what John and I are going to talk about. Ankush, how can we develop rasas when we're still having anartha? You don't have to develop it. It's already there. And having challenges, you don't have to worry because you won't know it. You just do your sadhana. And you worship Krishna in awe and reverence. And when you're pure, then you'll know. That's what Prabhupada said. You will know. If you'd like to make a donation to Mahatma Prabhu to support his full-time teaching, there are several options via his website, mahatmadas.com/donate. Yeah, PayPal, transfer, this or that. Hopefully all that information is correct. Sometimes people say, I tried to donate, but I couldn't. Whoops. You get to see my computer screen. Tomorrow's lecture we'll give in Bhagavad Gita course can be seen live on YouTube at the channel Yoga Tal Como Es. I guess I'm giving in Spain, right? It's not going to be shared on your Facebook. All right. So you can make a note of that. That information has to go to Radha Priya. Bhagavad Gita Tal Como Es. That means as it is. There's also another Bhagavad Gita, as you like. That's not, we don't read the Bhagavad Gita as you like, we read it as you is. Okay, thank you. Could please talk about finding shelter about it. Okay. Finding shelter in pizza and ice cream or what? Finding shelter in what? Just not taking shelter in the guru, but just taking shelter in Krishna in general, as opposed to taking shelter in Maya when there's trouble? Is that what you're asking about? That's a great topic. We talked about it yesterday here. Can expand on it, yeah. I think it's everything. It may be all forms of shelter. Yeah, addiction is a form of taking shelter, right? Isn't it? John, you have experience with helping people with addictions? Because a lot of devotees are addicted to gulab jamans. And we have a serious problem here. I think some devotees are addicted to not chanting their rounds. But if you do, we need your help because of the influx of we need to talk seriously, because this in my estimation, this is going to be the biggest problem we're going to be facing, people are going to be facing, is addictions. And you're thinking, sex and drugs? No, that's just part of it. Sex, yes, because pornography is a drug and it's available everywhere. Oh, wow, we need your help. Addicted to this is something that everybody's getting addicted to. Young boys getting addicted to pornography. And I think also, and we can talk tomorrow in this class about taking shelter. We can talk about just addictive thinking, like thinking in patterns that work against us, so that we can't take shelter because we always take shelter of the comfort of these patterns. Or some people take shelter of the comfort of self-pity. These are kinds of addictions. There's you just slip into that mode when things are bad. Oh, I'm so bad. The world's so bad, nobody loves me. So those kinds of addictive thinking also. So that'll make a great topic. And John, we have started a site for sexual sobriety, and it's going really well, and I think your input would be fantastic. So we'll have to talk about it, maybe on WhatsApp or something. If you can just, I don't know if you know my WhatsApp, but anyway, send me your WhatsApp number in an email if we don't have one another's WhatsApp, but we can talk. That'd be fantastic. We need to exploit your talents for Krishna. We can't let them go to waste. Okay, everyone. It is now time for Mahatma Das to have breakfast and get on with the 108 tasks he has that keep increasing every day. I'm trying to keep up with them. Hare Krishna to all of you. And, okay, it's time for me to look at my calendar. I have nothing else today. And I just want to tell you, today is July 22nd, if you didn't know. And the reason I'm telling you is because if you don't know, Prabhupada said you're crazy. Okay, Hare Krishna to all of you.